Oh, shit. Sorry about that, Greg. Let's get this started again. Oh, shit. Sorry about that, Greg. Let's get this started again. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. Welcome to Disclosure Tonight. I'm Thomas Fessler, your host. And yeah, I'm a little flustered. You've got a lot of stuff that all of a sudden pops on the calendar, and it's just like, holy cow. Welcome to Monday 3.0. Yeah, sometimes you'd have Monday coming in and you figured, what the heck is it on a Tuesday? But my Monday started on freaking Sunday when I lost 3 hours plus, majority of the day, going through a mockumentary of monumental proportions, and it's just something that kind of spun from one place to the next. And I'm glad to see each and every one of you here in the audience tonight, because you know why we're here, you know the conversation, what we're going to have, and you know where we're going to continue. But the truth of the matter is, none of us would be around, not on the panel, not our guests in the back, if it wasn't for the meaning and what it does to serve each and every one of you in the audience. Because this isn't just a phenomena that's in the United States. It's not something that's international. We're talking about something that affects all of humanity. So, happy Tuesday, everybody. More importantly, happy Tuesday evening. We've got a wonderful conversation, a great time ahead of us. For a short bit, at least, we've got a good conversation that I think is overdue, considering some of the mud that's been slung and some of the horrible things that have been said. Some clarification needs to come into play, and some interesting news potentially needs to be told. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. And remember, if you're watching this broadcast, you haven't watched us before, you haven't hit that like button, do us a favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed and you enjoy this, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, because we need the help of each and every one of you to go ahead and take this mission of karma and bring it all back together. Well, I would love to go ahead and bring all the people in the all of our visitors directly in. We know we've got Patrick Fogarty, we've got Linda Thompson, Noah, David Altman, a bunch of our regulars out there. We've got Greg O'Brien, what do you call it? Rob Heatherly and Tim Senor in the back. So without any further delays, let's do our intros and get this going, because I think everybody out there is going to be enjoying this one. So without any further ado, if I could do this, if I had that one program open. Yeah, our sound guy, Gary, our producer in the back, is out right now, so he's asleep. I guess if you sleep through it, you never know where it's going to go. So let's get our introduction and bring our panel out, shall we? Yes, our first panelist is a former Marine, engineer, and ancientologist. He's fluent in advanced technology interactions between humans and ETs from our distant past. Oh, I do, Rob. While he has a hard time getting up in the morning, researching anti-gravity, let's welcome Rob Heatherly. Welcome, Rob. Appreciate you coming out here tonight. Let's bring our next panelist in, shall we? Yes, while his own YouTube channel was focusing on the phenomena, he's been a regular on our panel for some time. As a child, he had a close encounter of the first kind with his father, opening his mind to a world of UFO phenomena. While he's known to make a nice meringue, let's welcome Greg O'Brien. Welcome, Greg. Appreciate you coming in here today. Yes, and our next panelist is well-known. It's someone who's been around here for a period of time. He's an independent video producer with his own YouTube channel focused on the phenomena. He's also an experiencer with close encounters of the first and fifth kinds. While he may be mistaken for the head of security from Cloud City in Return of the Jedi, let's welcome Tim Senor. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you coming in here today. And yes, and our special guest today, that one didn't plan, but hey, and our special guest we've got going today is someone who needs no introduction, and it's not Wolfman Jack, while his shadow may look at it. Let's welcome none other than Lou Elizondo. Thanks for coming in, Lou. Appreciate you coming out here today. Wow. Let me jump over to reset the room and welcome, Lou. Appreciate you coming out here today. Let me turn off that music and wow. Amazing to have you here. Sorry, I have to have a little fun bringing the show in and everything. It all goes part with it.
Thomas, you know what's sad? I actually remember when that music was popular as a kid
Oh, you
watching
gotta get,
game shows.
it's the whole dating game
Yeah,
intro.
yeah, that's gosh. Now I really feel old. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we're really appreciative for you to be able to come out here tonight. There's been a lot of stuff going on the whole thing, and um, you know, it's a last minute thing where you said, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. But I think Rob wanted to start off this whole thing, and he had a question for you, Rob.
Yeah, yeah. I was wanting to ask you how you and your wife met and got married.
Yeah, well, Rob, it's a very interesting story. Thanks for the setup. I don't know who put you up to it, but I'll tell you how we met. I've been married a long time, so despite what some people out there try to write for for attention, there are 49 other states in the union besides Florida. So uh, here's how we met. The bottom line is many years ago when I was in college, I was also a bouncer at a bar, and my wife happened to be a cocktail waitress, but her real job, she actually had a really good job at the time too. She was an interpreter for deaf children and with Miami-Dade school systems. So long story short, I came home one day and they said, "Sweetheart, I've decided I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm joining the army." And she said, "Oh, really? Well, you want to go to the medical corps and be an officer?" I said, "No, not exactly." So after basic training and AIT, I thought we were going to be stationed in Colorado. So my wife packed up at the time. My girlfriend packed up all of her worldly possessions and moved from Florida and went out to Colorado to where I was going to be assigned. And turns out, nope, I was actually being assigned to Korea.
Oof.
And so I had exactly 1 week to spend with my wife, and we had gotten to a little bit of a disagreement. For those of you who may know me personally, I'm not a loud guy or violent guy. People I love, I tend to be pretty laid back and fairly passive. And so we had gotten to a little bit of disagreement, and we woke up, and the next morning, this is in Arapahoe County, by the way, Colorado, right outside of Denver, not too far from Denver. She had this cute little apartment she had rented, and we were going to make a home together. So when I gave her the bad news, I was going to Korea.
Oof.
That went over like a lead balloon, and so we weren't
Mhm.
even talking. And woke up, and I think she looked at me, or I might have looked at her and said, "Do you want to get married?"
Hmm.
uh, we went to the Arapahoe courthouse in Arapahoe County there, and we got married and we eloped. And so our witness to to our wedding was actually the wonderful lady who was processing that day. You could tell she was kind of looking at us like, "You guys sure you want to get married? You're not even really looking or speaking to each other." And of course, our response is, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll get over it. We really do want to
Yeah.
get married." And so it's been a long time. We've been together almost 30 years, and um, married 26 or almost 27 years now, and wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, there's a picture. I keep my wife's identity very private, but there's a picture going around, and she was on for very briefly on the Unidentified show. They kind of blocked out her face, but there's a picture that was going around social media, I guess, at the GQ event that I was asked to go to not too long ago, and she's actually in the background with gray hair. She attended that with me, so um, that's her. For anybody who has any doubts, I am married, happily married, and been married for a very long time,
Yeah.
but not in Florida. So my suggestion, if you are a private investigator, you may want to freshen up on those investigative skills and
He's
Yeah, I
consider
know.
there
Canadian.
are some other states.
What can you
And
say?
apparently he's not done. He's got multiple things still going against you. It's just like, really?
Okay.
I
Whatever.
guess it takes all types, and it's just, it almost, for someone who actually sounded like he wanted to get you on in a conversation or interview with it almost sounds like a stalker. Tell you the truth.
There's a fine line between haters and super fans. And
Mhm.
look, I got to tell you, I don't wish ill on anybody. There are truly some people that have a deep psychological issue, and in those cases, God bless them. I hope they find the help that they're looking for, and the peace, that they deserve. There are a lot of people out there that will definitely try to impugn someone else's reputation. Look, if you got the goods, bring it, but don't make stuff up, and don't make accusations about people's families. That's kind of a low blow.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about me and my funny goatee, or my disheveled look, fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, we can handle this the old-fashioned way. Go behind the back of the house and take care of it if you want. But dragging someone's family, and I think it's usually an indicator that there's probably some sort of desperation going on there. And in that case, again, all I can do is hope that those people find their peace and whatever it is they're looking for.
Yeah. I guess what it really all comes down to is karma. And you try to do a lot of good things to a lot of people, and karma will come to those. And hopefully, what they've put out will come back to them many times over. Is the way I usually see it.
I hope it doesn't for their sake, because karma has a tendency to pay back twofold sometimes. And
Yeah.
what I've always told my daughters, I've got two. Well, you know what? Here, my wife will kill me for doing this, but this is a picture of my wife. Of course, the picture's blurry. It's the camera, folks. I promise.
Okay.
And here's a picture of my wonderful family, my kids, my wife, and my two daughters. And that's what matters.
Beautiful, beautiful
That's
family.
what matters the most. And I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe they don't have that in their life, and so
Yeah.
they take it out on other people that maybe that do have it. And
Yeah. It
so for
almost
their
looks
sake,
like
I
some
hope
of the
karma
lonely
does
old
not
guys
treat
out
them
there
that
are
way.
still living in their parents' house at this point in a spare bedroom. But you never know. But
Yeah.
having that other person who's with you in life for all the different places you've gone, all the different things that you've done, you truly are a team. And that's why I never say you are an
Mhm.
army of one, but you're not, because really it's you and your wife who actually is standing behind you in the decisions you make and what you do.
Thomas, remember what I said earlier, where I said one of my favorites, if you will, quotes from any book is from Rudyard Kipling, right? And it's the law of the jungle. And for the strength of the wolf is a pack, and the strength of the pack is a wolf. That I believe in that very much. I believed in that when I was in the military. I believe in that
Mhm.
in marriage and family. I believe that in my social relations. No person left behind, no man, no woman left behind. If
Yep.
they're on your team,
Exactly.
damn it, then you're through it thick and thin. And I think that's probably been my personal recipe for a good marriage. There's really only three golden rules that we've ever had. The first one is, if you don't mind, I'd like to share them with you and your
Sure.
audience, because they mean a lot. And it's not just marriage, it's any relationship. The first is, never go to bed angry. I don't care how long it takes. It may take you 2 days to talk something out. You're going to be really, really tired, but um, talk it out. Don't go to bed angry, because that breeds resentment. Okay. The second thing is, always have respect for each other. You can disagree, when you can disagree a lot, but never call each other a bad name, because you can never ever take it back. You can't. And words wound. Words can hurt, and you can't do anything once that salvo is fired. You can't put it back in the tube and pretend like it never happened. And the last thing is what a relationship is. Anybody who tells you a marriage or a relationship is 50-50, they won't last a year. That's not a marriage. A marriage is a commitment, is 100%, 100%. Because let's face it, Thomas, there's going to be days I wake up, I'm having a crappy day, or you're having a bad hair day or something like that. You know what? And I just can't give 100% that day. And as long as the other person's giving 100%, you always have enough to overlap. But when each of you is only giving 50%, the moment one person can't give their full 50%, that leaves a gap, and that gap grows over time, more and more and more and more. And so those are my three golden rules for any type of relationship. It's built upon respect. built upon communication. And again, you don't always have to agree with the other person. You can agree to disagree, but if you have that respect for each other, it doesn't breed resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks. I
excellent.
appreciate that. It's Rob, did you have something to say?
Yeah, people don't understand that haven't served in tight groups, especially with the military and things, that you're out in the public eye where your hands are tied, and these people can assault you with their words and things and make threats because they know that you can't push back on them because of your public position. But they don't understand the nature of how veterans take care of their own. And when you push on somebody that can't fight back, especially, you're going to draw the fire of everybody they ever served with or that knew them or is a veteran
Yeah,
that doesn't
that's
allow this
right.
to happen.
Right. And if, you're right, Rob, because, people say, oh, well, you weren't in Afghanistan. Well, why don't you talk to Jim Mattis about that? See what he's got to say, or take a look at
Mhm.
my wall sometime and read for yourself, what the U.S. government has to say about that. I don't need to say it. It's proof is in the pudding. I've got my OERs and evaluation reports and my medals. I mean, not that medals or decorations necessarily mean anything, but they're proof you were there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
at a minimum. I don't know. I think when you try to take away someone's commitment and service to something, it's like family, right?
Yeah.
Service is nothing more than an extension of your commitment to something, whether it's disclosure in this case, and we all want the truth, or it's
Mhm.
serving your country for doing what you think is right, or defending your friends and family, right? In the crap that comes at you. Veterans are very much that way. And that's why I'm deeply committed to the veterans causes. It's not that veterans are better than anybody else. They're not.
No.
They're just like us. They're people. But they have provided. Oh, hi, Linda. I see her thing popped up, Miss Thompson. Um, I To me, commitment is one of the things that you live and die for. And if otherwise, your word means nothing. And so, to
Exactly.
me, veterans, um, hold a very special place in my heart. And all serve, obviously, all public service. Whether you're a cop or a fireman or a teacher or you're a doctor or a nurse or paramedic, if you're on the front lines of something and you're giving some of yourself to that, then
Yeah,
baby, I got your back.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's about the service. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the connection we all have in the service to others. And that's one thing where you held that within the service and everything. And thank you for the service you did. It's nothing that I've ever would even thought of questioning because it's just kind of like, why? You're a very honorable man, and you try to be as honest. I mean, you lay out your values of how you see stuff on your Twitter account, where you always say you will always tell the truth. And I've always seen that in you as trying to someone who has been trying to bring out the truth. Granted, you have to tap dance around the stuff a bunch of times to be able to say stuff, but that's because you honor and respect the agreements that you have with the government.
And you
Yeah, I
make
mean, I
people.
do. I have my NDA. That oath means a lot. I mean, people, if anything, know me by now. My oath means everything. I mean, you don't get to certain positions unless you mean it. Um, and so now, with that said, I'll also tell you too, because I didn't want to harp on me the whole time. That's really not why I came here. I mean, I appreciate being
Yeah.
given a chance. And by the way, if you have any very specific questions, I'll address them right here and now. But then what I want to do is just spend a few moments and let you and your audience know of what's happening next, because uh, again, Linda.
Let them go.
So you all know I'm growing a beard. I'm not sure if this is the new Lou or not.
I have
You
to say,
know,
it looks better than Colonel Sanders.
so you know why I had the Colonel Sanders, right? So
No.
true story. I came back from one of my umpteenth deployments, and my God bless kids because they always tell you the truth. They always tell you straight up. So my daughter said, Dad, had this big bushy beard that I was wearing overseas for certain missions, and it's kind of now normal if you look at a lot of these the old special operators. They have these big bushy beards, and my daughter says, Dad, your beard it's turning gray. I said, what? No, it can't be turning gray. No way. And so I looked in the mirror and son of a gun, it's turning gray. So I shaved it and I had just a goatee. And if you look at some of my older pictures, in fact, some of my middle ones in Afghanistan have a goatee. And damn it, if I didn't come back and after a couple of years, my daughter says, hey, Dad, here. I'm like, what? Dad, this is this is turning gray up the mustache. I'm like, no. Look in the
Yes.
mirror, sure enough, it's turning gray. So I shaved that too, and always loved with that, motorcycle looking thing for a while. And about probably about 2 months ago, my wife says, "Yeah, why don't you go ahead and grow?" My wife and a couple other people said, "Why don't you grow your beard out?" I said, "Oh God, you don't want me to do that. I'm gonna like Santa Claus. I mean, really, guys."
Grizzly Adams.
So yeah, right. And so I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I keep the beard, or should I
Keep the
go
I
beard.
back to
like
the
it.
perm Sanders?
Yeah,
I
looking
like it.
good.
It's
Now
called
you don't have to
chasing
get
the
all Dave
gray.
Scott and let it get over too big without keeping it there in shape or something, but go
The
for
big
it.
pork chops up here, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now if I could just get the rest of me to look as good as the beard, then maybe I'll be doing okay. But you know, I, I fortunately my wife did not marry me for my looks. Let's just say that. Or it was probably more of my sense of humor, I suspect. Or maybe she
Absolutely.
took pity on me.
Well, you have to get those pictures for memories throughout time because you're only there once.
Yeah.
And the most important thing I'm sure you've learned is family only happens once. Jobs and other opportunities can happen here or there. And
Oh
if
yeah.
it always comes down to taking the time when you have that opportunity, Tim, to be with your family at different points in time, to do it because you only get that one chance. And I've made that
You
mistake
guys are
many
absolutely
times.
right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. No one gets on their deathbed, looks in the mirror, and says, "Boy, I wish I was at work more often." Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's, "Boy, I should have spent more time with my family. I should
Yeah.
have just told my kids I love you." And you know what? Give them a hug. Before they go to school. Just tell little Johnny or little Jane. And yeah, I know they hear it all the time, and yeah, maybe they know it already. But you know what? Tell them again, and just remind them how much they're loved, because you never know. Life is short,
Every
and
day.
it's unpredictable, right? So
Absolutely. Well,
It's
I
good
guess we could
advice.
ask you a bunch of questions, but I think we're more, we'd kind of be kind of interested in hearing where things
Yeah.
are
Give
at
them the
and where they're
floor.
going.
yeah, so Chris Mellon and myself and quite a few others have been very, very busy. I think some people see that the Galileo project is something that we're part of, and trying to help out. But there's a lot of other things happening. Look, I am happy to report that never in my time ever in this portfolio have I ever seen this level of support going on in Washington, D.C. In fact, I'm
It's
going to be back in
bipartisan,
D.C. again
both
next week.
sides of the aisle, both
It's
houses.
unbelievable. Tom, it's unbelievable. I would not have believed it. We give a lot of crap to the dysfunction of Washington a lot. And a lot of times, they really are dysfunctional and petty and whatnot. But in this case, they're not. This is truly historic. You've got Republicans and Democrats and folks in between that are saying, "Hey, look, politics aside, this is important. We're receiving briefings here, and what we're getting from these briefings is, in some cases, pretty compelling. Or in other cases, hey, you know what? They're not telling us crap, which just makes Congress even more mad. So that what you see is the result of that in the Gillibrand Amendment. Now, the devil's in the details, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
so we've got this wonderful legislation that's now out, signed, sealed, and delivered. It's historic. Never had anything like this. Now we need to operationalize it. Now, I hate to say this, now the hard work comes in.
Yeah.
Now we've got to make sure that the intent of Congress is actually recognized and realized down at the government level. And it's not just up to the executive branch. This is going to be really I think it's going to take a comprehensive effort between academia, scientists, technologists. I'd go as far as to even say getting folks like the National Science Foundation involved, getting roundtables with everybody, just like you're doing here, getting people involved in the conversation, because nobody owns the narrative here. Nobody should tell you what to think about this topic. This belongs to all of us equally, and so we should have a conversation about it. And I think we're getting there. I think we're beginning to. I mean, you now hear people in Congress talking about potential hearings, public hearings on this topic.
There's only
And
been one representative from Indiana calling for it so far. More need to open their
well,
mouth.
publicly.
Publicly, yes.
Yeah.
Publicly, there's
Yeah.
there's a few others, and
Yeah.
we've got some allies, and
Yeah. And I have
I
to
for
say,
one have made it very.
congratulations. You have gotten such a good freaking leash on Susan Go and Mr. Reed and everybody else, and trying to pull that information out of them. And it's like there were so many little nuggets of information that we know that probably came from you. And it's just, it's just wonderful. And as soon as they start hearing more, some stuff, they're just going to want to hear more and more.
Well, they're not dumb. I mean, people in Congress most of them are pretty intelligent, whether you agree with them or not. They are intelligent, have high IQs, and they can sniff it out. They know when someone's blowing smoke because these guys are trained at blowing smoke
Yeah.
half the time. So they can detect it pretty well. I am extremely confident. There are pockets now in the executive branch that are having a real conversation, and that, by the way, will come out. I mean, this is now the train has left the station. It's building momentum, and every week new information's coming. I mean, this is not like, hey, think of the Roosevelt, 3 years ago. No, like last week, things are still happening. That is getting reported and being assessed and looked at. It hasn't hit the public yet, but I suspect at some point it will. Someone in Congress will talk about it, or maybe someone will ask about it in a press, conference there at the Pentagon. But things are happening on a
But do you
regular
think Kirby
basis,
will
and
talk?
I look, I don't know. It's ultimately at the end of the day, we've got a lot of people that are now taking this seriously. You have Avril Haines, the director of national intelligence. By the way, the first female to be appointed that level
Yeah.
of the top intelligence official in the nation, right? And you
Yeah.
have Deputy Secretary of Defense Hicks, who's now, I think, getting a little bit more steeped into this problem. You have people in Congress and you have some people, very senior people in the National Security Council and executive branch. So I think it's happening. You've got some really good people, even at the Army, believe it or not. I'm not going to say who. They may be listening, but there's some people that pretty senior in the Army that are taking this topic seriously, saying, "Hey, it's not just you, Air Force, that has equities. We fly helicopters, we fly planes, just like you do. And
Yeah.
if there's something up there, we want to know about it. Oh, by the way, if we see something, we want to know who to report it to. You know,
Hmm.
why not? Why would we just keep that to ourselves?" Um, so yeah, things are happening. Things are happening fast, and all I can do is look back and be really happy how how far we've come together on this topic, despite the damn haters out there. You know what? History's going to prove them wrong anyways. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
History's
Oh,
already proven
it's
them
all
wrong.
drones from
You
China.
know,
That's all it is.
yeah, right, exactly. All drove from China or some psyop or something like that, or some,
I
so
know.
get over yourself, please. Like you said, get out of your mother's basement, stop playing Xbox, go get a job and get serious, please. Because
Excellent.
that's not helpful to the conversation.
Oh,
You're
hell
the
no.
reason why people, not you guys, but those are the type of people, the reasons why people never took this topic seriously to begin with. Because when you said UFO, that's what you thought of. You thought of some dude in a basement at 35 years old sitting in his underwear in front of a computer, and his mom saying, honey, can I bring you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
But we're at a
Those are the
point
kind of
where the
people.
people who wearing the tinfoil
Yeah,
hats are ready to go ahead and take and pass that to the people who want to deny it at this point.
right. Well, it's funny because now there's the proof is there. Now the burden of evidence is proving that they don't exist. How far
Right.
we've come in just 4 years. Before, you were crazy if you believed in UFOs. Now you're crazy if you don't believe in UFOs. Oh, sorry guys.
In the
So
eyes of the government, this makes Sputnik look like a cakewalk in comparison.
uh, I got to tell you, Rob, man, you wouldn't believe it. Some of the stuff these things are doing would just blow your socks off. I mean, it is to the point now where anybody who's in a position of trust who has certain accesses looks at this and says, "Okay, yeah, this isn't ours, and this is damn sure this isn't Russian." So
Exactly.
um, that's kind of where we are now in the conversation.
Is there a case or something out in the public eye right now that you could point to and say that that's something that the UFO community should be taking a look at?
George Knapp did a great job throughout his years on this topic. And one of the things he did was able to, for the first time from a Western media perspective, get information from the former Soviet Union. The Russians have been looking at this
Yeah.
topic very seriously, just like we have. In fact,
The
maybe
stories
even
they've
more
got
so
about
for
being
me.
out there and communicating with the UAP with hand signals and getting them to change. I hope you would think that, something like that we would have tried, hopefully, or even to the extent of some of the stuff that's in the new NDAA 2022 talking about these flight crews who have to go out and investigate it. I would hope that those were black ops kind of things before going on that are just something was taken legitimized and we could actually start using the resources that could be reported on.
Well, I think, my colleague and very dear friend, Chris Mellon, said something, and he continues to say it, and he's absolutely right. Secrecy only works for so long and for so many things. Um, there comes a point where if you keep things secret too long, it has a shelf life, and it actually starts working counter to the reason why you kept it classified in the first place. We won the Cold War against then Soviet Union, not because we kept better secrets, it's because we knew how to trade information, move information faster within the government from point to point, where the Russians didn't. And so one could argue over secrecy. By the way, Avril Haines just came out this week with a statement saying why it's a danger to national security to keep things overclassified.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's not a
Mhm.
coincidence, guys.
We
I mean,
covered that
read
one.
between the lines.
We
Yeah,
covered
I mean
it here. Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, what does
Yeah.
that tell you? Hello, I mean, people are having the conversation, and this is very much part of that conversation,
Yeah.
and we need to start realizing that other countries have been having this
Yeah.
conversation, and we're kind of late to the game.
It'll
to be
be
honest with you.
interesting coming in from what the information and the declassification coming in the geospatial observation area where she's starting to get the stuff to pass out. And this is something
Oh
that
yeah.
D&I Ratcliffe had said, we're taking pictures of them from satellites. And that's what the geospatial intelligence does.
Let me show you something here real quick. And this is not meant to be an idiot lesson for anybody, but for anybody who's not steeped in physics, this is just a little globe that you'd maybe find in your schoolhouse library sitting on a desk
Yeah.
of somebody. Um, but there's something very interesting about planets and the way gravity works. When there's certain ways objects come in from orbit and come in around orbit around a planet, and then or sometimes they'll skip off the atmosphere and then bounce back off, depending on the angle in which they're coming in. Um, One thing that would be very, very unusual is to see an object literally come in and come right back out at the same point of origin
Hmm.
from an orbital perspective. Things have a flight path, and there's an apogee. There's all sorts of considerations when you are talking about or even orbital debris and satellites and the way they come in through retrograde and burn up in the Earth's atmosphere eventually. There are predicted flight paths, and we have an entire dedicated capability with the Air Force that does nothing but track space stuff, right? Because they have a predictable pattern. When you see something that is operating outside that predictable pattern, that gets your attention. But then when you start doing the calculations and realize how much energy would it be required for something to behave in an unusual, without going into too much details, to be able to do what some of these things allegedly may be doing, you're talking an astronomical amount of energy.
But that's
Uh,
following our existing models for propulsion-based craft and everything else.
well,
Yeah.
that's my point, right? So once you get to that point, you realize, okay, this is something that exceeds our understanding. So we must be dealing with something else, another type of technology that doesn't necessarily comport to our current models and understanding
Yeah.
of physics.
The Tic Tac dropped from 38,000 feet to 50 feet in 0.78 seconds. I think that was what, 42,000 miles an hour?
Rob, we got it from 80,000 feet, brother. 80,000. And by the way, that's where the Spy One radar picked them up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they're
They couldn't
coming
reach
in
it
out
like
of
that.
somewhere. Right. And so, and then by the way, that type of energy level is astronomical. But imagine now having to go and counter Earth's gravity in the opposite direction and doing
Hmm.
that same type of velocity. That's more than, I think someone did the calculation, more than the entire output of New York City.
1.2 gigawatts.
Yeah, for
That's
like
more than
10
the
years or
output of
something
the
like
national power grid
that.
at any
Yeah,
given
right.
time.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. So, we're dealing with obviously something we don't understand. And I don't think there's a problem with us admitting that and being able to explore that. I think,
Yeah.
the time has come and gone to keep that information secret.
Yeah. And the
It's
thing
just
is, too, this has
trying to get
probably
the
been around as long as we've been in the air, if not for thousands of years before that, or hundreds of thousands of
Sure,
years. So there's
maybe
nothing
even
really to be
before.
afraid of, except it's already been here. We've just been covering our eyes and ears.
Right. I mean, Thomas, this could be something that's as natural to Earth as we are, and plants
Right.
and animals and everything else. I mean, this is something that, we look. I've often said this before, and let me just try to put this in context. We're a kid and we learn about the three kingdoms of life, so to speak. When you're a kid, you learn about plants, you learn about animals, and you learn about fungi, right? And it was only a little bit more than 100 years ago, we discovered this entire kingdom of life form on our planet. That if you were to take all of the biomass from plants and animals and fungus together, still wouldn't equal the biomass of this other kingdom of microorganisms, right? And so this is an entire invisible universe that's been living on this planet right in front of your eyes this entire time, completely invisible, and we only discovered it in the last century. So, there's a perfect example right there of how we've been as a species. Let's say, just hypothetically, what the scientists say: last 100,000 years, Homo sapiens sapien as a species, and it's only been in the last 10 seconds of our species existence we all of a sudden have discovered an entirely new form of life form that is bigger and broader than all the other life forms put together, and we haven't been able to see it.
It's
You
there,
know
you
if
just can't
Commander
see it.
Fravor, you know if Commander
I'm,
Fravor, you know if Commander Fravor had a flare pod on his Super Hornet?
Yeah, so Greg, so are you familiar with the difference between the Marine Corps and the Navy Super Hornets? So the Super Hornets that the Navy uses are a two-seater. The Marine Corps tend to use a one-seater. Um, there are some differences. The sophistication, and my Marine Corps friends will get mad at me for saying this, so they're not any better or any worse. The pilots are the pilots. They're all Top Gun trained. A lot of them are fantastic. I mean, all of them are fantastic, but the planes themselves are used usually for slightly different purposes. And so because of that, you get different capabilities. And so you had the FLIR pod on the Navy, which was, I'm not sure if his name came out yet, so I'll be careful to protect his name. But the pilot of the Navy, forgive me, the Marine Corps aircraft had a FLIR pod. The F-18 that Commander Fravor and Alex Dietrich and the other two, they had a targeting pod, but from my understanding, it was they had basically practice munitions on board, not nothing live.
Fixed wing,
They
yeah.
weren't, yeah, they weren't expecting any type of encounter or any type of interaction with a bogey or Charlie. So it was fairly routine for them to be flying out, doing the blue force, red force maneuvering that they were doing on their what they call workups. So as far as capabilities, I don't think he had FLIR. I think they had the black and white and IR TVs on those with the targeting pods.
Yeah.
But we can certainly find that out. In fact, I think the report, the executive summary, 14-page executive summary on the Nimitz probably says exactly what they were outfitted with. If you don't have that, I can probably scrounge that up somewhere.
But that's a
Thank you, sir.
small fraction of the stuff that are moving at a frame rate where you could actually see it at 60 frames a second. Where a lot of the stuff that are moving at a frame rate where you have to be running at 240 frames a second. Otherwise, you're only seeing a couple dots and it's gone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And people, I'm not
yeah,
sure, really appreciate that fact.
absolutely.
Even the human eye has a frame rate, believe it or not. And the way
We
we
can only see up
process
to
data,
56, maybe 70 frames a second. We'll go beyond that, but
right.
not
And
that much.
well,
And
and
that's a great
our eyes
point.
are a compromise, right? So we have eyes that allow us to see decently at dark, decently three-dimensionally, decently at far distance, and decently close. But we don't have the eagle eye vision, right, where you can
Yeah.
see a rabbit from 3,000 feet, while flying. There's things that our eyes can do, things that we can't. And then there's also the speed in which the neurons fire from the eye, the back of the eye, up to the optical lobe of the brain, and then that data is processed. There are limitations to that. In fact, there's a study that just came out this week where some scientists believe that most humans look at images with a 15, imagine this, 15-second delay. Now, it's not that we're seeing things delayed, but by the time we process the data and we look at it and rationalize and recognize what something is, scientists are now saying that there's a 15. I just saw it on my phone. The article came out in mainstream media. You should look it up. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I usually cover stuff like that, but it's something that kind of explains when you're going past something, you do the double back, you did do the double take of what did I just see that you may not see at that point in time.
Yeah, these things are moving super, super fast. And, it's to the point where, unless you're at the right place at the right time with the right perspective, you may be completely oblivious to it. You may never even see it. In fact, there was a really good case out of Chile. There was an air show there, 7 different cameras, government cameras, 7 different perspectives that picked up this object looking like it was doing some sort of surveillance or reconnaissance on some of their aircraft. But no one noticed it until they slowed the tapes down. And only
we have
when
that
we
over
look at it
Malta
frame by
too, from
frame.
about March, April of last year. I haven't sent it to you.
Right.
Keep on forgetting, but I'll send you that clip as well. There was a fighter from the RAF booking across the scene, across the screen, going, I'm guessing, about 500 miles an hour. And there was another a UAP that had flown one direction, turned around, came back, and came on an angle and passed right in front of the guy's nose and shot off. And it was probably clocked at, based on how fast that plane was going across the screen, probably about 20, 30,000 miles an hour at a minimum.
And by the way, no signature, right? So no sonic boom, no
Nothing.
heat ablation, no atmospheric ionization, all the things that we would normally, friction that we would normally associate. Look, when we drop a basketball from outer space, right, at 720,000 feet or 120 miles up in orbit, it comes down at 17,500 miles an hour and burns up like a shooting star because of the friction involved, right? So, and that's in high atmosphere condition. Here, it's like a pea soup down here where we're at. The air density is so thick. We just don't have the ability to do that. We have an SR-71, which is, don't get me wrong, a great aircraft. My friends at Lockheed will tell you it's a phenomenal aircraft. But the entire aircraft had to be made out of titanium because the heat was so high, the friction was so hot on that aircraft, even at 100,000 feet, when it's flying at 3,000 something miles an hour, the plane's practically burning up. In fact, the cool parts of the engine, are 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Think about that for a minute. And you think you're up at 100,000 feet where everything's really cold. Well, you're flying so fast that the friction's so hot that you literally burn up. And yet these things are doing these incredible speeds, 3, 4, 5, 6 times that speed, right here at sea level.
Yeah, amazing stuff. They're moving that fast. And well, you know what? It's just, we mentioned this before, they're at a level of, we're trying to harness the sun. They've harnessed a black hole or beyond. They're just way so much farther ahead than us. And it was kind of, reminds me of the quote that came from Einstein's secretary when she supposedly ran into some of these. And they basically said, yeah, we're, they're so advanced and we're so stupid kind of because, we just got this little bit of knowledge compared to what's really available.
I'll share with you an analogy I had when I was briefing some folks at the secretary's suite some years ago when I was still in the program. I remember one of the gentlemen asking me, I didn't even think about it until this conversation. He says, well, Lou, in the evolution of crawl, walk, and run, where are we in understanding this technology? I said, we're probably on the floor slithering and writhing around. we're not even to the crawl stage yet. We're just now beginning to realize that these things are in our airspace.
The first cell hasn't divided on the baby yet from getting it
right
together.
Right, single cell organism. Right.
That's I mean, I can tell you, Lou, we've never met before, but my family and I witnessed the Bainbridge Island Tic Tac encounter. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
It's about 10 miles from what do you call it? What's the base again? Bangor nuclear base, where they have like 1,100 nukes.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of the incident. I didn't know. I've never met anybody who actually participated in that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, the point that you're bringing up, is even in the photographs that I have, in some of them, all of the objects are clearly all present. And then in the very next frame, none of them are present, as if they were sinking in or out, or my phone wasn't actually able to capture it because it was moving so quickly across the sky. And it's those speeds and that sort of thing that when you're having a real encounter, or if you're seeing video or footage of something that's real, because it's incredible to try and capture. And when you do capture it, there's something just off about it. It's not in every frame. There's a glow to it. There's something just kind of indescribable about it. And so you just know when you're coming across something authentic. And I'm just wondering, like, is that kind of something that you have discovered in your studies as well?
Tim, one of the things you'll see in this bill is something that we had to be very, very delicate approaching earlier on. I let the cat out of the bag very, very subtly a few years ago when I said there's actually 6 observables. One of them is biological effects. And you can fill in the blank what that means, whether it's an effect on a blade of grass or an animal or human organs.
How about immune systems?
Gives me chills just hearing you say that. Honestly, as an experiencer, that gives me chills hearing you say that.
Well, there's
resonate.
data out there, and
Yeah.
we are taking it very seriously, and the government is taking it seriously, so much so that they wrote it into law, right? So looking at the psychological and medical consequences associated with UAP, that's definitely the right step in the right direction. You are seeing a recognition that there are. I mean, look, we have DIA research documents that focused specifically done by Kit Green, by the way, a personal friend of mine, an incredible human being, but one of America's finest, in my opinion. Looking at the potential medical consequences of people who've come close to UAP. When I say people, U.S. government people, U.S. service members, and intelligence personnel. People that have a very serious job. A lot of them are trained observers and have security clearances. Right? They're not necessarily prone to flights of fancy, and they are, you know, they were being looked at because these folks had suffered some sort of medical consequence. Not all necessarily consequences are bad. There's people who get into car accidents and all of a sudden become overnight piano virtuosos. They never even played a piano, and all of a sudden they can play, a piano like one of the great masters. I'm not saying that biological effects are necessarily always negative. Some people come out and report, you know, very good experiences, but then again, some other people report very terrifying experiences. So we look at this from the perspective of biological effects writ large. Okay, what type of effects does it have? Both good, bad, and everything in between. Um, and all I can say, Tim, is that we hear you loud and clear. We understand enough so that a law was passed on your behalf, because it is serious. We have to be careful in the beginning, because the moment you say biological effects, people start raising the abduction flag, and some people, it gets very emotional very quickly.
Yeah.
And so we decided to approach this very pragmatically, very much data oriented. What does the data suggest? What is the data that I can quantify and qualify? I can look at a morphology of someone's brain, for example, and I can say, okay, here's a MRI scan of the brain before and an MRI scan afterwards. What's different, right? That you can look at and say, yeah, something happened. Whether it's you're looking at, something like Havana syndrome, or something like this, or frankly being run over by a car. There's
What
always
about
some sort of.
long-term effects to the immune system that once they're there, they never leave?
Yeah, there's some people that are very, very sick. I know one person. I won't share his name right now because he hasn't given me permission to, but he has suffered some significant medical
Yeah.
consequences.
Mine
And
started at 5 after I got to deal with some stuff at a very young age, and the doctor picked up, and it's like, "What's going on with you? You've got a really bad immune system problem." And it coincided with a bunch of stuff I dealt with at a very young age for a period of time. Granted, I'm glad it stopped when it did, but it was a really shitty situation for what it was doing to me. And it's just something that I've
yeah,
dealt with as a person for the rest of my life.
yeah, and honestly, that's not fair. Whatever causes that, we have a moral obligation to figure it out. And if it's something
It's a
that
side effect. We get way
hopefully in the
smart
future,
drugs.
Well, true, but if you're if you know you didn't volunteer for it and you didn't
No.
ask for it,
Yeah.
then you shouldn't have that issue. That's just that's the way I look at it. If you want to go out and snowboard and you hit a tree, well, okay, you didn't ask for it, but you kind of knew the risks, right? But if
Yeah.
you're out sitting in your front porch, just drinking a mint julep, and all of a sudden, someone hurls a 2x4 at your head, well, that's a problem. That's a little bit different story. So all I can say, Tim, is that I understand and I hear you loud and clear, and you're not alone. Again, I don't want to lead the cart before the horse. We are still in the very nascent stages of trying to figure this out, but your voice is heard, and I will say
Yeah.
that, and that's for the first time in my career. I've never seen that acknowledgement at the official level
Yeah,
that we're
absolutely. I
seeing
mean,
now.
interesting thing about
Appreciate that.
Tim's
Yeah.
case is he actually saw like a freaking tear in the sky open up. Stuff was coming out after it was interacted with. It was not just the usual seeing things flying around, but they were up to something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
I
have
wish
good photographs.
I wish I could say that is unique, but I've heard reports
Yeah.
similar to that from multiple
Excellent.
sources. And by the way, not just here in the U.S., international.
That's great.
So we've
That's
got
great. I'm glad to hear that.
the NDAA pass. We've got a lot of stuff in play. Is there any stuff to look forward to?
Yeah, this is going to be a great year, guys.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe not for me with all my haters,
We're handling
but
that.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about the haters.
for
We've
the
got them
topic,
handled.
this is banner year. This is exactly what we've been working towards and hoping for. Transparency and truth. Really, that's what it
Has
boils down
has
to.
any government gone on the record yet to say that they believe that this is not human that we're dealing with in
Yeah,
any
many.
other nation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a handful of them. I can tell you right now. Brazil has said it. Venezuela to some degree as well. Um, there's some other nations in Europe that have now privately come out and said that. There's a couple tier one countries that we don't necessarily like right now that have
Mhm.
also said, for the record, that these are not their technology and they know that they're not our technology. There's conversations going on right
That's kind of
now.
the pivotal
Yeah.
point that I keep seeing is that people can't really get over that last hurdle until they hear it officially out of a first world government that this is unequivocally not human that we're dealing with. And I know you can't speak on that in an official capacity on the United States part, but I didn't know if any other country had gone on the record for their behalf that you could share. It was in the public
Um,
review.
yeah, I mean, the ex-president of Brazil came out. When I was here, I'll share something with you that you'll find very interesting. Um, I went to Uruguay, to Montevideo, and talked to some of the folks there. That is one of the longest standing UFO government endorsed programs in the hemisphere, period. It's been around and it's government sanctioned and paid for. When I asked them what predicated it, they turned to me and they looked and they said, "You did." And I said, "You, like me, Lue Elizondo?" He said, "No, your country, United States." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And they said, "We have a memo right here from 1978 from the United States Embassy requesting us to go ahead and establish a UFO program within our government and report back to the United States."
The
Um,
Project Blue Book that was no longer, they didn't find anything, so they closed up shop in the United States, but they moved it to South America.
Isn't that interesting, right? Here we are in the middle telling
Yeah,
people that, hey, nothing to see here, folks. Meanwhile, hey, why don't you start your own UFO program and report back to us and tell us what you find? You know,
exactly.
Very interesting. Hey
Yeah.
Lou, if I would kick myself if I didn't ask. And so you can just answer with a yes or no. You don't have to follow up with anything. But do we have ET craft and bodies?
You know how much do you, Tim?
that's not a yes or no question.
You could just
That's
give me a
I can't
yes or
answer
no.
that question.
Yeah, and then he gets the orange
um,
jumpsuit.
let
Well,
me
here's a
let
better
me see if
question.
I
If
can
you
put it
can't
this way.
answer that one, what
I mean,
what do you,
it's simple.
what about
It just
Norway? It's not the United States. Did the stuff was going after power plants? Was that
I
Is it
like my
someone
question
who?
better.
Can we bait? Can we bait him?
Guys,
Great question, Greg.
we don't want to make him
Um,
squirm here. That wasn't what
Greg,
this is
that,
about.
okay, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to get. Tim, I can't answer that question. How about that? And
Okay.
I mean quite literally, I can't answer that question.
Yay.
I just can't
That's
answer that
awesome.
question right now.
Cool.
Greg, great question too. That came from you, Greg. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you rephrase it? Maybe I can.
Instead of us looking for them, is there a way to bring them to us? Is that a better way, maybe? Or
That's certainly an intriguing question, Greg, and certainly very insightful. And I would probably respond by saying um, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been tried.
nice.
Yeah. There's
Thank
something
you.
I
With a
call the
little
quantum
success,
string
maybe?
of consciousness that connects certain people with them. Then it's not just one way. It's not just them coming in looking. It's something that actually, if you got the skills, can go back the other way. And just depends on how you know how to use it. Any thought on
Fantastic.
Sweden?
Chance, I hate taking all your time, by the way. I only came in
It's an honor.
I was going to come in for 5 minutes, literally
Absolute.
pop in and
It's
be
an
like, hey
honor.
guys, how are you?
Thank you
Hopefully I'm not
so much.
taking away. I think some people wanted to ask some questions in your audience. So
Yeah, the question,
is
there was a
it
question that
okay?
came up about Sweden. The recent sightings that came up over the nuke plants. Any thoughts on those?
I'm not tracking those. I know in the past there's been some Russian rockets, first stage booster rockets, and second stage have been kind of misidentified. But then there have been over Sweden some very real sightings as well.
Yeah.
Just lost my earpiece. Sorry, guys. Great
Don't worry about
excuse, right? I planned that. You know what? I'll figure it out. I'll go solo with one. That'll be my excuse for not answering some of your questions. I only hear half your questions.
Well, that's fine. You've been here an hour, and it's been an amazing conversation and everything. And I can tell you, it's kind of reached that drop dead time. So I really appreciate. All of us appreciate you this impromptu coming out to go ahead and try and clear up some basic things, and to reach out to the community and let them know, give them a more than a pulse check, but a more of a, this is our opportunity to give you that hug back.
I appreciate it, guys. I really do, more than you know. It's tough to sit here and take shots, and more tough for my family, because they didn't choose to do this, and they're just kind of being dragged along through the mud. It does suck, but being with people like you and your incredible audience makes it worth it. I owe your audience some answers at some point here, because I know I kind of robbed them of that chance. So Thomas, if you want to at some point, and you, Rob, and Greg, and Tim, if you want to coordinate or schedule within the next couple months another follow-up interview, and what I'll do is I'll just dedicate the entire time to answering some of your audience's questions, because I feel kind of guilty about that.
Yeah. Rob?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to
Thank
do
you
it.
so
And
much.
to your awesome audience, sorry guys, if you're going to ask some questions, I didn't get to them, but I promise you I'll make it up to you. And as always, there's no rules. You ask me whatever the hell you want to ask me, and if I can answer it, I'll answer
Ask
it.
me anything. That's what it's about.
Is
But
there anything
you just
else
got
you
to know
want to
we
state
actually
for
kick the trolls out.
directors?
We have an entire chat room full of mods.
Oh,
Go ahead.
guys, I'm sorry you have to do that. It really shouldn't
It's
have
our
to be
honor,
that
man.
way. But,
Yeah.
Least we can do.
It's I again try to have patience and respect. I know some of these people may be going through some hard times. Maybe I remind them of someone who, I don't know, stole their boyfriend or girlfriend, who knows. But
Yeah.
I hope whatever's troubling them, I hope they find peace, and I hope they actually hire some good investigators, because the ones so far, haven't really done much. I mean, they thought I got buried in Florida. No, dude, Colorado. Could have just asked. I would have told you. So, anyways, gents, appreciate it as always. Have a wonderful evening. Rob, as always, thank you for your service, brother. And Greg and Tim and Tom,
And you.
thank you guys
And thank
for
you for
having
your
me.
service.
Really,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And your continued service for humanity and
worries.
everything you're trying to bring forward. Because if it wasn't
Absolutely.
for you, we'd still be stuck with, not that they're bad, but we'd still be listening to Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howell, and if I have to say his name again, I'll puke, Stephen Greer. but you actually bring the information and not just speculation, and you're making action within our government, which is what we need to do to get there.
Well, appreciate it, guys. But remember, back to Rudyard Kipling, right? The strength
Yeah.
of the wolf is a pack. I can only do what I'm doing because
Yeah.
you guys are doing what you're doing, and your audience is doing what they're doing. So thank you for all. And this is a team effort. And I look to my shoulder right and left, and I see all of you. So thank you for being
Absolutely.
along, for on this journey.
We just wanted you to
Right
know that
on.
the pack has your back too.
Oh yeah.
10-4, appreciate it, Rob, more than you know. It really, it helps. It really does.
Absolutely.
It was an honor to meet you.
Yes.
Yes,
Have a
sir.
wonderful
My
evening,
pleasure.
you and your
Thanks,
wife and your
guys.
family. Have a great evening, and have a good one. And I'm liking the beard. It's a good look.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll keep it
thank
for a
you.
little longer then. So you got a deal, guys. And again, I owe your audience a follow-up. So you schedule it, let me know when works, and we'll make it happen for you guys.
Absolutely.
Look
Thank you.
forward to it.
Looking forward to that. And hey,
Thank
when's
you,
your book gonna
everybody.
hit? Do we know?
I'm still writing it. And by the
Wow.
way, for the record, I'm not a book writer, so I'm spending a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I got one shot to do this right and a whole bunch of shots to do it wrong. So I want to do it right.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
I
best of
wanted to
luck
do
on that.
something that
It's the
I,
Hemingway beard. That's what it is. You're growing the Hemingway beard for your
that it
writing
is.
period. It's your
I just
writing
need some
period.
six-toed cats and a mojito, right?
Mhm.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Good
Thank
luck
you,
with your
Lou.
book and everything, Lou. Thanks for your
All
time,
right,
buddy.
guys. You got it. Thank you very much. Honor and privilege to be here with you guys and your audience. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Good
absolutely,
night.
sir. You have a great
Good
evening.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, bro. Take care, guys.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. Gary's not here.
Wow.
Gary, you slept through this. What an unbelievable conversation. If you're still watching this, quick, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. We have 180 people, 186 in our chat room. It's dropping, but hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, do us a favor, please get us to 2,000. Hit that subscribe button. We would so appreciate you having you around. This isn't the first time Lou's here, and it won't be the last. And this is his first appearance on a live stream in 2022.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find this very ironic that the people who are so vehemently pushing and attacking Lou right now, screaming for disclosure, would be so disruptive when he's actually trying to impart some knowledge to people that they have to come in and be so jealous of the information that they're attacking our chat. What the hell?
Well, Goof On Show
who do
just
these people
ended, so
think
they
they
had to
are?
do something, be able to come up and everything. Oh, it's not showing up in the right place. I got to figure out a way to get it up here. This is the song that I should have been playing all the way throughout the entire interview. But the thing is, I couldn't interrupt Lou and throw it up and going. So here we go. Dave Scott, your favorite song. This is for the Almost Smile by Greg O'Brien. There you go. You're smiling. Rob's smiling. I'm smiling. Well, I usually smile a bunch, but that's what it's all about. Yes, and I'm glad you were with 100. Everyone who's out there was able to go ahead and figure out who this shadow was. We called it a mystery guest, kind of let it out there a little bit here and there, maybe to some friends, but it just grew and spun out. And thank you for everybody who shared it on social media. Thanks for everybody who came out tonight. And this is just the start. This is just the edge, the start of the edge. I put out some tweets. This is a call to arms. This is the call to action for all of us to come together and support this great man and what he's doing. There's some real haters out there. There's some people, it was over on Rich Giordano over at Goof On last night, and he was going and, they've been nothing but personal attacks against Lou, attacks against the overall phenomena for what's going on. Hell, even trying to deny that the ATIP and OSAP actually was researching UFOs, which is just kind of like crazy. So if you want to, smoke some of that pipe, give it back to Rich because it can go pass out for the meeting later on. But still, you don't want to be doing that. You want to go ahead and we try to take things from the center here. We try to take the conversation and actually deliver substance. Not just attacks, because it's easy to find material when you don't have an ability to put it together. We always try to bring it together here. And thanks for the super chat for Spaced Out Radio from everybody else. Holy cow. It has been one super chat after the next. And without my producer here, I actually don't have a list of all the people who have actually donated, which we'll have to do that in a bit. Let me go ahead and turn off that song. And I have to ask Tim. Actually, I'll ask Greg first. Greg, totally unexpected, something you didn't plan on being here tonight for. Where's Greg? Let's bring up Greg. Greg, what was your thought on this situation tonight, on this conversation we had with Lou?
I mean, he's just, you get a lot from just like looking and listening to a person like face to face. And from what I can tell, the man's so honest with all of his answers, and he's given so much information as much as he can. So, and I just applaud the man. I think he's great. And he should be, revered, and he will be revered, for time to come.
Absolutely,
I hate to
Rob.
be on the wrong side. I hate to be the people that are on the wrong side of history, like Lou said, that they're actually trying to put disclosure back in the box. So all you people out there that have some influence on these people, they
Run with
are
it,
the
Rob. I'll
ones
be right
hampering
back.
disclosure at this point, not us, not Lou. He's trying to advance the ball down to the goal line, and they're trying to run it back up and make a touchback on their own field line. So if you guys want this process to go forward, you kind of need to put a little pressure on the people that are hampering this conversation from moving forward further in the public arena where we need it to put pressure on our government. Then you might want to try and influence them to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Absolutely. You know what? And he offered to come back on the show. And if people in the audience feel like they have hardball questions, I encourage them to send them to the show, because we're not afraid to put anything in front of this man, and he's not running from any questions.
No,
The fact of the matter is that there really isn't a history to question. At
he's
this point,
answered
he's
what he
been as
can answer up to
transparent as
date.
he can. He can't obviously be completely transparent because of his NDAs, and
Yeah.
he wants to keep his security clearance level. Completely
Yeah.
understandable.
Well, he's answered everything he can up to this point.
Yes.
And he pushes the boundaries all the time because he's trying to protect not just the American people, but the entire planet, I dare say, because this affects everyone, and it's a new, like you said before, a new paradigm that we're facing.
Absolutely. And I would also like to just comment on what a gentleman he is, even when he's been obviously thrown quite a curveball that he
Yeah,
didn't ask for.
he
He
was
still
thrown under
was
the
an
bus, is a
absolute
good way to put it.
gentleman about it.
His
He was
family,
thrown
his
under the
personal,
bus.
everything about him was freaking questioned by these morons. And it's like,
Yes.
well, yeah, what kind of morons? These kind of morons. But it's just kind of one of those situations you just have to look at it, and you just have to, you got to wonder, when
He
are they going
was
to stop? I don't think they are.
Yeah, and the way he handled it, I think, just kind of goes to show you even further what kind of person he is. And that he's not going to hide. He's willing to come out and answer your questions. And it seems like, done in a polite way, he'll answer anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he was willing to answer my question.
But if you're
That's
going to
not
come
an
out and
easy
give,
question.
there's a certain line you have to take with regards to it. There's questions you can answer about the
When it's
phenomena,
personal.
different things. But if you're
Right.
jumping into someone's personal life, jumping into about family, about different situations, we're not here to discuss that. And you know what?
Right.
No, and it
I
doesn't
guess some
matter.
people, well, I'm not going to believe you unless I know. Then, well, you know what? Here, buddy, I've got a Mickey
Go pound
Mouse
sand.
tinfoil hat that you can wear, because it's better for you than it is for me.
Right. And initially, when I heard there was going to be a documentary about Lou, I was excited. But when I saw this, I was just so disappointed because of the content, and I did have hopes.
That ain't it, Tim.
I had hopes it would be something interesting, to be
Yeah.
completely honest, because
And I bet you it made
I'm
you
open
angry a
to
bit too,
anything.
didn't it? The way it kind of dug into his family.
That was where I couldn't watch. You lost me, because that
It
is
was
so
disgusting.
it's irrelevant. And I just turned the same thing on any one of us. Would any one of us want that done to us? I know that we wouldn't. And so
Well,
it's
they're
just
sitting
very
behind a
hard to.
keyboard, anonymity,
In their mom's
but
house,
Right.
that
probably.
doesn't last forever with
Right.
that, and they motivate some people, and Lou is not going to take any action. But I dare say that there are people
Yeah.
that will find the motivation on their own cognizance
Yeah.
to push back on this, because they can and Lou can't. That's the highest definition of a bully, is taking advantage of somebody when they can't fight back. Yeah, that's
Right.
real tough.
And I do have
You know,
something to
That is a
show, and
great
this is a
point.
tweet that I put out there today on Twitter, and I encourage everyone to follow me on Twitter and to go ahead and respond to this. And this is basically the picture below is from Rob. You will never understand the damage
yeah.
until someone else does the same to you. That's why I'm here. Signed, Karma. Now, what did I say about that? To all supporters of Lue Elizondo, this is a call to action for those who do not agree with a personal attack on Lou and his family and the Who's Lou mockumentary. Please share. More to follow. Well, the more to follow was here, but this is just our start to go ahead and rise up as a community to go ahead and stop these people and do what we need to do because Lou's hands are tied. However, ours aren't. And as a community, as a group, we have more power than any of these little small voices are. Rob?
Yeah, we're gonna back him 100%, 120%. He deserves the protection of the community, of those with sane minds and beating hearts. So this is unconscionable what they've done with his family, just because he wouldn't answer their questions and threaten to release sensitive information if he doesn't respond.
Yeah.
Like it was personal. It wasn't. The man is extremely busy. His phone never stops ringing, and his family are off limits. I don't know how many more times I have to say that. These people can't sit by in anonymity, or think they are, and think they can get away with this. They're not.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not just about families. It's also about questioning people's valor and saying they tried to steal valor when he's a veteran for what he's done. And you know how close knit the veterans community is, and it's about time for the veterans
Mhm.
community to start lining up behind Lou as well, beyond the UFO community.
Yeah, his picture, it was at the Kandahar airport. As a member or former member of the military, you cannot wear a uniform that you weren't issued, and a rank that you didn't earn at the time that you can't wear a different rank than what you have. You have to be in uniform or out of uniform. You have to be in proper uniform. So, and you also cannot put out pictures saying that you were in theater when you weren't, especially in a combat theater. So DOD and the Pentagon would have gone full bore after him if he had misrepresented himself on any detail. And that hasn't happened.
No.
And there are plenty of people that served with Lou that would authenticate that he was there. So this is just juvenile.
Yeah. It's
Great
juvenile, but
point.
it's also they're trying to put themselves as a documentary. I call it a mockumentary because that's about as close to real as we're going to get with this thing. But it's just something that um, it's been released. It's been put on platforms. Hell, I even had Steve Cambion of Truth Seekers reach out to me to try and say, "Oh, there's nothing you can do about fair use." Well, yeah, there is stuff you can do about fair use, and I've got the documents today. We're going to be getting in tonight to go ahead and cite 25 violations in the Area 503 mockumentary of the illegal use and the use of content. When I was asked, I specifically said no, do not use it. Of course, which I got a ton of stuff pushback on it and everything, and basically saying, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. But I said, absolutely not. To be clear, do not use our content. Now, we've also had people who were put as if they were part of the mockumentary who gave permission. Lou Angeles from Unidentified Celebrity Review came across yesterday, and said he was not a part of it. We had John Green, when his live stream was put on there, saying, what was it? Courtesy of Unidentified Celebrity Review. You only put that on there when you have actually asked for permission and it was granted. They did the same thing to John Greenwald, and he said he did not give permission. So it kind of looks into it. It's some real shady practices that were put together by a real shady person who's going to have himself investigated. And a bunch of them are, to find out the details about what really went on with Rich Giordano back when he was in Arizona. Why does he have the big scar on his forehead? Why does he not have any teeth? What about his mom?
I
What
just
about his ex-wife? What about
Brother,
all the different
um,
situations of, he mentioned his
Thomas.
family in the past had all these, problems, run-ins with meth. So it's like all these things that he's put out there over time that
They
you just
would
have to kind
deserve
of go
that.
ahead and
But I
look
just
at
want them to
and say,
stop, Thomas.
what is the true story that's going on here? And let's start bringing out the info and what's going on against the people who are doing the attacks to expose them on the level of what they've done to expose Lou.
Yeah. I First and foremost, they just need to stop. But whatever pressure it's going to take to get them to do it, that's their call, not
Yeah.
anyone else's. They're going to get back on them with their pushing 100%. They don't know the storm they're going to draw if they don't cease and desist.
Can I
Yeah.
add something too? I've heard rumors. I've heard people say that Lou vets questions before he comes on. I can tell. He said, ask him. I mean, he never said anything about anything. He came right on and he answered every question. He never said, I can't talk about this. I've heard people say that, and I like to put that rumor to rest because that never happened.
Thanks. Yeah, I even asked him before what the first interview if he wanted any review of questions beforehand. He said no. He didn't want to disrupt. He didn't want to violate the journalistic integrity nor his integrity. So no, he didn't want him. He said don't send him. I don't want to know. So I honored that, of course. So yeah,
it's a fact. So don't.
And it's not us. Everyone's saying no, Thomas. No, this is about the community coming together for the veterans who have been pissed off, for the people who are pissed off. It's not just me. There's going to be a community of people who are coming together to go ahead and carry this freaking torch, because you get enough times about slaps across the face and you ignore it. Sometimes you have to take the bullies on full force and bring them the karma that they deserve. And yes, they are worth the time, Linda. And yes, it is a situation that if you let it continue, it will spin and continue to spin. So sometimes it's better to draft the sword than it is to draft the feather. Just saying. I'm not happy about this. And I know Rob isn't happy about it, and a lot of people aren't. And some people can go ahead and sit back and go along with it. That's fine. But there's those, we're the only, out of all the live streams out there, we are the only live stream who's actually taken up this fight, who have been pointing these things out, who have been going on the offensive, not just a defensive, an offensive, because we have to, because the attacks don't stop. And all they do is they continue, and they're spinning up, and they're getting stronger. And we've asked them to stop.
And let me say,
go ahead.
Let me
Rob.
say this. The reason Lou has stopped giving interviews, aside from his book that he's trying to get written, is because he's in the mindset that it doesn't matter what he says in interviews anymore, that people are already set in their minds and they are not going to be dissuaded by what he has to say. So he stopped giving interviews because he's been getting too much hate from the dissenters and not enough encouragement from the people that are supporting him. So if you guys want to see more Lou interviews out there more often or at all, I suggest you guys, take a position on this, be part of the solution, not part of the problem, and put some pressure on these people to get them to stop. We're not trying to bully anybody. We just want to do what's right. And if they want to stand the way with that, that's their prerogative, but they're going to get steamrolled.
What was that saying that beautiful Maxine Waters, my God, she was a beauty. Remind me of Esther from frickin' Sanford and Son, but either way, she said something. You hear something saying something wrong. You hear something going against Lou. You get in their face. You push back. And that's what it's about sometimes. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. He can't do this in a vacuum. He needs support. People need, they want disclosure. They want to know the truth. They got to pick a side on this. They can't just sit on the sidelines and be a fair weathered fan. This involves all of us. We're the wind in the sails of people like Lou and the government to push him forward on it. So you're not, you're not being part of the solution by thinking you're staying neutral and being Switzerland. That doesn't work in this case because it's detracting from us getting public information, because people like Lou don't get on social media anymore and do interviews because they're getting too much heat.
I mean,
the only
heck,
way
we
that
had
can be
Ryan
resolved
Stacy, who's the head of TESA, which is the Experiencer Association from Canada. And he wouldn't even, publicly go ahead and say that he believes in the phenomena, that what these people said was real. Yet he has an organization where he's coerced people with videos that I've seen on YouTube to come forward and give him the information that he wanted to get about the phenomena. So you just have to go ahead and look at some of these people that are truly involved. And yes, people can go ahead, we'll watch ourselves, we'll watch our words, but the truth of the matter is just that. It's the truth. That's what I have to say. Rob?
I don't want to say much more because I
Yeah.
don't want to incriminate myself or give anybody the wrong impression, but people need to put some pressure on people to get them to stop if they want information to go forward. We are at the bottom of this information chain. And the only way we're going to get information is if we take care of that chain.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty simple equation here, people.
Yeah.
If you want to have entertainment, go elsewhere. This is a community effort.
Right.
You
And
can't
here's the
stay on
thing,
sidelines with it.
Rob, was our stream attacked tonight?
Oh, hell. It was bombarded. And you would
It
think
was
the people that
completely
are
bombarded
crying
by
for
trolls
answers
tonight.
Yeah. Dark Sky
And
Files.
from who? From good people, or was the trolls who were getting sent across from another live stream that was just ending?
Well, one of them was Dark Sky Files because it was his official account.
Yeah.
That I had blocked from the channel.
So the thing
And we
is,
can go back
they
and
are
look at
not
that.
complicit. They are not just going to go ahead and do it. They're going to, and that was before I even said anything at the end of this. They're on an attack. They've just started. They're still deploying, and they're not stopping. And that's why I'm saying, as a community, we need to come together and stop them. There are more of us than there are of them.
To block them, to put pressure on them. I'm not calling for anybody to do anyone any harm. Just to put pressure on them as if you're friends with them or whatever you can do to influence them, to let them know if they really want disclosure and to find out what we're dealing with, then stop being part of the problem. That's it. But their hate and anger at this point has clouded their judgment, and they are being completely irrational at this point. It's almost like they're being, that there were even paid trolls or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just look at it, but you know what? I may be a little hot now for the situation that went on. I am so grateful for Lou coming out here for today and everything. And I probably don't need to go with a battle cry, but the reality of it is that's what we have. We do have a battle cry. We do have a call for action, a call to arms, a call to come together as a community, more than just some people who are just going and, casually, responding to stuff or watching it. It's our opportunity to go ahead and come together and do something and be a part of something. There is so much apathy in the United States, especially with regards to standing up for what you believe in. But you look at Europe, you look at Canada, you look at what's been going on in Italy, in Spain, in France, all over the place. You see what's been going on in Canada. Most of the people on this live stream watching are here in the United States. This is your opportunity to come together as a community, and that's what I'm asking for. No more. But to actually stand up for what you truly believe in, more than just, watching it and supporting it.
Huge thank you to the High Lonesome as well for that big dono.
Yeah, $50 from the High Lonesome. Thank you very much. Thank you to the High Lonesome, and I want to thank each and every one of you in the chat room who's been out here today. We got attacked by the trolls, and the Wrench Army time and time again came through, and I actually had to take some people who were saying some stuff, and I had monitored them. And as soon as I did, you guys did your work and took care of the situation like we needed to. That's why we're a team, right?
And you know what else? Lou gave an amazing interview tonight, and he dropped some huge nuggets that we haven't even discussed yet.
We still need to go back and look at this again, and we'll go over this again tomorrow night with regards to everything he said, because there was a lot more than we ever planned on ever getting tonight.
Absolutely. And what a gentleman for sharing that information. And I hope that his book is in his voice, because it would be pretty cool to read a book in that man's voice,
Oh God, actually as a spoken words thing, that would be awesome to have. Completely. Let's see if I can jump into the back room and I can take a look at
the audiobook version.
all the freaking super chats we had tonight. It's been one heck of an audience coming out here. Holy cow for a show that wasn't announced. Sure as hell, a lot of people really showed up, didn't they, guys?
Yeah.
It was a great show.
So today on Super Chats, let's go ahead and go to Monetization. Let's go to Supers. Let's bring up the list of everything that came in today. There have been a bunch. Let's go ahead and take a look and go in reverse order. I want to thank the High Lonesome, Daryl Zernick, Spaced Out Radio, N Cloud, Shannon Scott, Dry Toast, Mr. John Music. Remember, John, come back for the Super Chat for the question for what's going on. Is there another one? No, there isn't. Good. There was another one that came in like that. My God. John Music, Daryl Zernick, losing to be back in the next month or two for an Ask Me Anything. Of course, it's going to be no Ask Me Anything from trolls because you're not allowed. Lori Oliphant, Shannon Scott, Susan Goes, Time Traveling Asians, Cognitive Dissidents, Nick, Linda Thompson, Patrick Fogarty, Spaced Out Radio, Trevor Butler, Wreaking Havoc, 215. Well, yeah, that's everybody. Oh my God, it's been one heck of a great show, and it's not just everybody who's been given super chats tonight. It's everybody who's still in the chat right now. We appreciate everybody for coming out right now. Let's see who's in the chat right now. Anna Coffer, good to see you, Anna. It's been too long. Arlene Atkinzel, yeah, I'm being a little naughty tonight, but sometimes you have to. Bad Thomas. Bill Age, Bob Birkins, Brandy Phillips, Camping Lady, Coin Exchange, Daryl Zernick, Eric Altered, Ian Burwell, Irish Lincoln, Jan, who's always stuck in the middle. Thanks for coming in, Jan. Jesse Peak from MUFON. Jessica Medina. Olivia was here also. Welcome, Olivia. Thanks for coming in. Didn't see you in the chat, but want to say hi to you, especially from David Altman. Thanks for coming out, Olivia, and watching this. Linda Thompson, our UFO researcher extraordinaire. Thanks for coming out and trying to control me tonight. We didn't have Gary around, so someone had to try to. Maji Horam, Mr. Catfish 2100, Mr. Grey Owl, Mule Skinner, Mr. Ian, Nocturnal News. Thank you for coming out. We got to talk again, Tracy. Pam McSee, Paradigm Theories, Finzer Flectum for that spell. It's from Harry Potter, I swear. Let's see, pontificator of all the pontifications. Rob Heatherly, who's also Robin Hood 1966. Shannon Scott, Wreaking Havoc 215. Spaghetti Lee, thanks for deleting that tweet. It set you free. Terry Hall, thanks for coming out, Terry. Tom King, YJ Overlander, Canada. And if I missed anybody, I want to thank again Rachel, that UFO lady. Thanks for coming out. Mr. Catfish.
Terry Hall just dropped you a super chat, too.
What was that?
Terry Hall just dropped you another super chat
son of a gun.
message
Terry
there,
Hall
too.
did. All the haters can kick our collective shine metal asses. That's right. Well, pucker up, guys.
Thanks, Terry.
when you kiss that UAP, your lips are probably going to get seared pretty hard.
Yeah.
And for all those who are the gay bashers, we know what. Generally, the people who are the most vocal against people of the other possible, sexual orientation are the people who are hiding in the closet the most. And we know who you are, Dark Sky. And we know who you are, Little Richie. So if you want to go ahead and keep on name calling, it just makes it more clear. I'm surprised they haven't found you in the same bathroom at the airport that they found that one Republican senator.
Easy.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. You got to have fun with it. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for coming out here tonight. It has been one heck of a show. As I usually say and end our broadcast, where am I at? There we go. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone. And as always, we'll catch you on the flip side. See you tomorrow night for Disclosure Tonight. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.